we've got this beautiful piece of property here, $1 million home, and the biggest problem with it is that it's got no water. We do two things. We collect water from the roof, and then we also have a well that's got saltwater intrusion. So we take a reverse osmosis system and clean up the water.
On Galliano, you tend to have the most dense development occurring along the waterfront for obvious reasons. It's the most sought after real estate. You have waterfront lot, and so you tend to get lots of little small lots all along the water. It's also the area that's most fragile in terms of water conservation, because you have the threat of saltwater intrusion. In that situation, you dig your own well on your own property and you manage it however you want. And so if you use tons and tons of water and your well dries up, then you're the one who's going to pay the price for that.
Even with rain catchment systems, there's a problem because there's no rain. So their catchment systems aren't filling up, and there's lots of wells going dry all over the island, like in January, in February, which is a huge problem. You put the intake right into the ocean, because then the only problem you've got is tide. You got to deal with the tides then. But if you just put your intake far enough, then you're okay.
Has the community ever considered desalinization as an option for fresh water?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think at that level, at a community-wide level, it has been considered yet. I believe there's probably private individuals who have thought about it. If their particular water situation is poor, they have saltwater intrusion in their well, they may have thought about that. And in fact, I think there's one landowner on the island who has had a hand in actually inventing or creating desalinization process.
Well, I didn't develop the process. I developed this particular energy recovery pump, and a particular design where the pressure housing and the pump are integrated. So that's just a device. It's not really a big deal. It's just a filter. But it's a funny thing that it's really sort of, other than using modern materials, it's 19th century engineering. And in the 19th century, it would have been really wonderful to have a life-saving device that could extract fresh water from the sea, because you had people genuinely cast away. One topic I have always been very interested in is water purification. It's another one of the energy and water. Those are the crucial resources which are at the crux of present environmental problems on this planet. And I became interested in water, especially in water purification, when at a very early stage of my life, after I'd gone to military college in Quebec and Ontario. I was the youngest member of the United Nations Emergency Force in the Sinai Desert in the year 1967. At the time, the presidents of the U.S., Eisenhower, Kennedy, and Johnson had been advocating the use of nuclear energy to desalt seawater so that the desert could be irrigated. And they thought this might help bring peace to the Middle East. And I thought that is an exciting vision. And I came up with this little machine, which actually has the same energy recovery principle, which is now used in the largest desalination plant in the world, which is in Israel. And this desalination plant is producing 1/10 of a cubic kilometer of fresh water per year from the Mediterranean. Well, here I am. I'm a castaway on a lonely shore, and I have salt water all around me, and I'm thirsty, so I am going to use my manually powered desalinator to squeeze some fresh water out of the sea. And this machine has a high pressure pump, and the pump's in this end, and inside this barrel is this cartridge, which is a membrane filter, and the pump is going to apply pressurized seawater to the membrane, so that approximately 10% of the seawater will be delivered as fresh water, and the other 90% will be thrown back to the sea after recovering the energy that we've put into pumping it. We have to pump the water up to quite a high pressure in order for the membrane to work. Something like 800 or 1,000 pounds per square inch. Test this. May not be the most pristine. This thing is running at about 40% efficiency, and that's more than 10 times better than the big plants of the previous generation. And what this means, when the similar technology used in the big desalination plants, means that the cost of desalting seawater has dropped dramatically. The cost of these membranes has come down with production volume, and as a result, it's becoming possible to use fresh water extracted from salt water. Already a bit of it, what they're producing in Israel is being used for irrigation. So this is a rather expensive solution, but now an affordable solution to the world's water problem in places where there's no choice. These desalination systems, the little ones are used by kayakers, and every life raft in the U.S. Navy has one. We built larger ones which are used on ships, including when on an icebreaker, the Louis Saint Laurent went to the North Pole all the way with desalination unit, and then we also put them on islands. None on this island I know about. I know there are some that other people supplied. We put one on Salt Spring Island at Scott Point, and we put one on Ellesmere Island, a little further north, and another one on Terra del Fuego, a bit further south. One story, which is a good one, and that's that there was a couple left Miami on their retirement cruise. They had taken up long ocean sailing, and they were going to sail around the world. And they sailed through the Panama Canal and off, got into the Pacific, and they were somewhere quite far beyond Costa Rica when an adventure happened in the evening. Whales came up around the yacht, and quite a lot of commotion among the whales, and this was quite exciting. And then it became very alarming because one of the whales came up under the boat and smashed through the hull, and the yacht sank in something like 60 seconds. They got into their life raft, rubber inflatable, with a little bit of food and fish hooks and the desalinator. And they were in that life raft for 66 days until they're almost blown ashore into Central America, and then they got rescued by a fish boat. And after the 66 days, they survived. Their marriage didn't, but the machine worked. And if it hadn't worked, they probably wouldn't have complained, because they wouldn't have had a chance to complain.
Wet.
Chalice.
Wet. Water. This bit in Family Guy when making fun. Well, this guy was playing a song he called Water, was sort of making fun of that sort of guitar generation. Sorry, you wanted the first word that came to my mind.
Pearl.
Waves.
I suppose water is the first thing when it came to my mind when you said water.
Drop. Like raindrop.
Blue.
Drink.
Ship.